Hi everybody, this is the second chapter from the Gifts That Bind Us. So, St. Bernadette's is a school that should have never been a school. It's two Victorian townhouses on the top of the hill in Kilbeg city centre, and it has almost no facilities to speak of. There's no PE because there's nowhere to do sports. The music room has just an out-of-tune piano. Lily has to do all her cello lessons at the School of Music on the other side of the river. Having said that, whenever I meet the girls from other schools, they always say how lucky we are. Lucky that we are in the middle of the town and not in some austere building at the end of the suburb. For years, St. Bernadette's was supposed to have this brilliant reputation for educating girls to a college standard. But when sending your daughter to college was as rare as owning a racehorse. Now that everyone's daughter is a racehorse and every school competing to be a stable, Bernie's has lost its sheen. St. Bernadette, in other words. It's not just a run-down old building that people still inexplicably spend a few grand a year sending their daughter to, when most of the free schools are probably just as good. Rue, that's the boyfriend, drives to St. Bernadette's. The summer twilight is settling into night, the sky turning dark blue. When you say you've been practicing in school, Fiona says to Lily, "What exactly?" "Around the back." She says it's only garbage around the back. I say, remembering the scrubby patches of grass where an old garden used to be. Now it's where the wheelie bins are. "They've cleared all that," Lily's response, but looking at Rue as if he had asked the question. "They? I go there for tutorials and they've got builders in, doing stuff. Miss Harris says they are doing up the place, so you can hang around after and practice magic." Rue cocks an eyebrow at his sister. Lily shrugs. No one notices. They've all gone home by then. When we get to school, the first thing we see is a skip in the car park, filled with pieces of wood and rubbish, old curtains and mouldy wallpaper. Rue parks outside the grounds in case they have cameras. We walk up the whole building, fresh with chaotic air of a dancer with half her outfit on. The downstairs windows have been totally replaced. The heavy old Victorian windows that you need at least two people to pull up or are now showing walls of new glass. The paint has been scraped off the old door, the wood naked and chipped, almost shivering in its desire for a new coat. "Can we just..." Fiona begins, but Rue is already making his way up the stairs. All summer long he has been salivating at the idea of a locked door, but no one wants to risk breaking and entering. "Wait," Lily says. She sidles up to the steps, leaning on the iron guardrail, and then climbs onto the rail with a gymnast on a balanced beam. My eye follows her and I see what she's going to do. The security camera angled above the school door. She's tall, almost 6 foot, and with one hand on the old building for balance, she's able to reach the cord connecting the camera to the electrical system within the school. She holds on. She closes her eyes. The air fizzes and pops. I stare at Lily, her eyes briefly meeting mine, and I swear I can see something flashing behind her pupils. A fevered yellow underscoring the grey-green of her irises, like a fire in the forest. There, she says simply, Rue. Rue goes quickly to the door. I follow him, fascinated by the way his gifts manifests itself with his right hand on the door handle and his left thumb on the keyhole. He cocks his ear. He listens for the 4 pins in the lock. Listen for the soft rotating of the cuff, for the firm nod of a spring. I look at my watch. 30 seconds, 1 minute, 1 minute 30. No one says a word. Just before 2-minute mark, the door opens. It's funny being in your own school in midsummer time. You realize that all the things that usually make it familiar are built around the people, not the place. The smell of perfume and deodorant, of old sandwiches and books, and toilet cleaner and bins, all that is gone. There is no real odor to speak of, except for the light hum of drying paint. The only sound is my boots hissing quietly off the new parquet floor. It looks good in here, Fiona says. Where on earth are they finding the money? What do you mean? They are loaded, aren't they? It costs enough to send us here. Not enough to pay for all this, Fiona replies, shaking her head. And besides, half our year is gone. Ran into Michelle Breen. She's not coming back either. People are starting to realize that Bernie isn't worth the money. Plus, Lily calls looking inside a pot. No one wants to send their daughter to school with the head case. Well, she thinks that people think she's a head case. Some of them might, but that's what happens when you've got gifts like tarot readers or intuitives or telepathy, things like that. And that's why I'm reading these books, just to share with you that sometimes it's difficult to be among people and they think that you're weird. Anyway, getting back to the book, I'm sorry about that. But sometimes I might just splurt in between. Okay, she's not entirely wrong. The end of spring term last year was tense, and there were too many stories about Lily O'Callaghan to make most parents feel comfortable. Light bulbs exploding near her, a small electrical fire in the bathroom. Her gift is wilder than the rest of ours, more dangerous, and even though Nuala is the only adult who knows what to do and what she can do, that's the lady from the New Age shop, all suspect something is off. The hexagonal entry hall has Miss Harris's office on the left and Sister Assumptia on the right. Rue examines the locked door of Sister Assumptia's office, and I put my hand on his. Not this one, I say. She wouldn't like it. I feel oddly protective of the somewhat senile ex-nun who owns the school. She's so particular about her office. He nods and wanders off into one of the bigger classrooms. So where are they getting all the this floor money from? Fiona says, squeaking her trainers off the shiny wood. Holy shit, says Rue from the classroom. Where are they getting tennis courts money from? We follow his voice and see him at the back window, peering out. We join him and Fiona lets out a sharp whistle. Jesus, she says. I remember when this was all bins. They've obviously bought the land behind, I say, astonished. God, it's huge. And it is. I am trying to remember what was here before. An old newsagent, a few anonymous apartments, something like that. Now the ground has been completely flattened and there's a proper tennis court, the net not yet mounted. The beginnings of a changing room appears to be in the works, a tin structure that I shudder to think of actually using. A tin structure that I shudder to think of actually using. Surely they won't make the 6 years do exercise, not this late in the game. Tall privacy hedges had been installed around the court, fence, bold and alien looking. It all looks too strange. It sounds really bad. I'm reading really bad, but it is what it is, and this is what they have written. It looks too strange, like the school has been picked up and plopped on another planet. Let's have a look then, Rue says. We wander out through the back fire exit, back into the warm summer air, where the tennis court gates are open. You've been practicing here? I asked Lily, and as usual, she doesn't bother answering me directly. She just takes her backpack off, unzips it, and produces a bottle of water. It's starting to get dark now, and we inch closer to 10 p.m. The sun sets 2 minutes earlier every day, summer slowly trickling away without our consent. I feel my stomach drop. I'm not ready for summer to be over, for Rue to start college, for me to start my exam year, for the daily crushing inadequacies of school, life to take over again. I like life how it is now. I like having my job and my people and my schedule. Lily unscrews the cap of the water bottle and slowly walks to the other end of the court. The floodlights don't seem to be hooked up yet, so we can barely see her. All that is visible is the moon bouncing off her blonde hair. Are you guys ready? She calls. Yep, Fiona and Rue call back, while I murmur a soft no under my breath. We hear her shake the bottle into the air, water spraying everywhere. And before you can say, that was it, there is a crackling sound and the whole court is illuminated in the split second of white light. In that moment, all you can see is Lily's hands up. Are Lily's hands up, pointing at the airborne water. The spray is conducting her sparks, lighting her like a strobe. I don't know what a strobe is. I'll have to look that up. A moment later, we are in darkness again. We hear the spray of water and another crackle of white light fills the space, and Lily's face is in the middle of it. She does it again and again as the three of us stare at her dumbfounded. Darkness, water, crackle, light, Lily. Darkness, water, crackle, light, Lily. And we stand there dazzled as this light show these fireworks just for us. No one wants to feel like they've been outdone by Lily. So we all throw ourselves into practicing, showing up at the tennis court night after night, long after the builders have left for the day. If anyone has noticed that the security cameras are no longer working, they haven't done a thing. This is our place now, for as long as there is summer left. We have somewhere to be ourselves. Who wants to see the magic trick? Fiona says on the second night, her voice full of mischief. Go on then, I call back, lying on the sun-baked clay of the court. My head is on Rue's stomach. I can smell him, and especially Rue's smell that combines of roses, jasmine, charcoal and salt. Sure, for men, a Chanel 5. She takes an apple out of her bag. Observe the apple. All right, Steve Jobs. She sticks her tongue out and produces a sharp kitchen knife. All right, Jack the Ripper, she starts. This is how they talk to each other in fun. She starts to peel it in front of us, and a long strip of skin coming off in one curling layer. I peer at her, the sun still bright enough to see what she's doing. She's focusing hard, biting on the right of her lip in concentration, and I can see as the peel gets longer that the skin of the apple is growing back. By the time the strip has hit the floor, the apple is almost perfect again, untouched. Jesus Christ, I yelled, jumping up. Fi, that's amazing. She takes a deep bow from the waist. So it's not just human skin you can heal, you can do other things too. Yeah, loads more, I think. The other day I got the hole in my tights and I sort of pinched it together and imagined the material like it was skin, and it came together. That's amazing, says Lily. You are so good at magic, Fiona. She says it with such bold admiration that I feel a twinge of jealousy. She's very fond of Fiona. The two of them have formed a kind of separated friendship, independent of me and Rue. It seems like a natural thing for two people who hang around with a couple to do that. But it makes me feel a bit left out. Nonetheless, when Lily first came back from the river, she found adjusting to real life hard. It took a little while for her to get clothes right again. For weeks after the ritual, she struggled with buttons, zippers, laces. It was like she had completely forgotten how to work them. Once she came down the stairs of the O'Callaghan's house wearing her dad's work shirt back to front, the buttons fastened halfway up her spine. No bra, Fiona said plaintively. This isn't right, is it? No, babe, Fi had said softly. It isn't. The two of them disappeared up to Lily's room, while Rue and I worried downstairs whether Lily had been in the river for too long. Her magic was bizarrely strong. If we all gained more magic from simply accessing the world of the housekeeper, how had it changed her? Someone who had been soaking in it for weeks. Fiona helped her develop a method for her clothes. If everything is the same color, then you can't get too confused. So Lily picked a color and now everything is blue. If everything is blue, then nothing can clash or look strange. If everything is blue, then everything is okay. I just wish I could have been the one to work it out with her. All right, Maeve. Rue says now. Your turn, I sigh. Mine isn't cool like yours. Or, dude, you can read minds. Fiona responds dryly. I know, but it's very internal. You know, it's not theoretical like electricity or machinery or healing. There's nothing to see. No dog and pony show. I'm thinking of a number, Fiona says. Go on then. It's really tiring, I protested. You'll never build the muscle if you don't work the muscle, she retorts, like she's personal trainer. Try it, Maeve, Rue prods. Do the process. Sometimes with people I know well, random thoughts or of theirs will slip into my ear like a whispered secret, but most of the time I have to try really hard. There's a series of mental exercises I have to do before I can look properly into someone's brain. Rue started calling it the process, for a laugh. It was one of those things that we started saying ironically, and now we just say it. The process starts with me closing my eyes and clearing my mind. Clearing your mind is one of those dumb things you always catch YouTubers saying when they decide they suddenly care about meditation, but it's the only way I can explain it. I visualize my brain like a desktop screen on my laptop, and I drag everything, my friends, my family, the country, the earth, into the recycle bin in the bottom right hand corner. When the screen is finally empty, the inside of my brain is tar black. That's when the lights come. The lights are harder to explain. I tried to tell Fiona and Rue a million times what it looks like until one day I saw a picture of the northern lights, the streaks, the swirls of endless lights, the explosion of color that seemed to be perfectly organized without being remotest bit planned. Breathe in, breathe out. That's the easy part. The pretty part now is when it gets complicated. Rue must feel my shoulder tense because he starts to stroke the soft skin behind my ear with his thumb. I lean in to it, feeling his touch reverberating through my spinal cord like a volt through copper wire. Focus, Maeve, focus. Back to the lights. I look for Fiona's light, trying to separate it from the countless others, the deep shimmering blue of lilies, the crystal white of Rue's, the blips of brown and green that must represent everything in between, or between the heart of each tiny unseen life, the mosquitoes, roosting birds, the urban foxes in the bushes. There are bigger streaks just outside them, flecks of color standing for countless sleeping humans in the city around them. I know how to follow them. I can't read the minds of strangers or animals or anyone that I am not directly looking at. What seems like a gift of limitless potential is actually very limited. I can read the minds of people I know extremely well already, which sort of feels like a waste of time. Fiona's light is shimmering orange. It's important to find the tail, to grab onto it, and to follow it until you can feel yourself riding the wave like a surfer crashing right into the frayed coastline of your best friend's brain. I explain to myself like I'm writing a guide for future telepathics. I have no idea whether these people exist. Then I find it. At the end of the tale there are two black digits sitting at the front of Fiona's brain. Fiona, Maeve, 57. She sits up, stunned as ever. Have I ever told you that you are a genius? Not nearly enough. How do you know? How does it look? I told you, like the Northern Lights, exactly. Wow. She lies back on the tennis court and stares at the stars, knowing that we are in the wrong country to see the Northern Lights, but peering for them anyway. How's my colour today? A shade earthier now that you mention it. Deeper, more clay than orange, like a plant pot. Okay, I love it. What do you think it means? No idea, I say, biting a hang nail off my thumb. I feel like everyone's colours are a bit deeper when we are at the tennis courts, richer or something. Rue sits up and stretches. What about me, May? What am I thinking about? Now that your mind is settled, I can see into Rue's easily your gig tomorrow night, I say. Well, that's easy. You could have guessed that. I root further and then I grab something more specific, hold it like a squirming puppy in my hands. If the children of Bridget show up again, he said, thinks we are effed. Okay? Can't say the word on any media channel, but it is effed. We're down the hole. I sit up. Why? Why what? Why are you worried about the children of Bridget? For a little while after Lily came back, the children were frighteningly active. There was an anti-abortion rally in Dublin, a protest at a gay club in Cork, but whatever interest they had in Kilbeg, in particular, seemed to quell. They were horrifying, but it was all so far away from us, so beyond our pay grade, and frankly, we were tired. We had Lily to worry about. A religious group at the other side of the country doesn't seem as pressing as your friend forgetting how to put clothes on. I saw him the other day, Rue said. Aaron, we are all silent. The air around us seems to chill. Where? Fiona says eventually. Hey, Rue is silent for a second. I saw him at the city hall, just for a second. He was with people. He was wearing a suit. It looked like a business thing, but I don't know. I was wearing my mod cloth skirt, and the way he looked at me, he knew exactly who I was. Of course he knew who you are, I say. He crashed your gig. You crashed his meeting. No, Rue corrects me, then stops because even he doesn't seem to know what he means. I mean, like he could see inside me, like he could see literally who I was. Remember at his meeting how he made all those people confess their weird nonsense to him. I felt like how they must have felt, exposed or something. It was horrible. I put my hand on the back of his neck, my arm falling down the length of his shoulder blade. I'm sorry, babe. If the girls weren't here, I would wrap my arms around him. Around my arms around him. If the girls weren't here, I would tell him that there is not a single horrible thing about him, that he is calmer, kinder than anyone I've ever met, that he has taken the best traits I typically associate with each gender and made a cocktail of them all. the deepest part of chivalry, oldest kind of beauty. But the girls are here, so instead I say, why were you at the city hall then? His face flushed. Oh, he says I was going to wait until. He gestures around, subtly implying the word alone. But I'm changing my name legally. I mean, Rue. We all gasped at once. That's amazing. That's so grown up. Does Mum know? No, Mum doesn't know, he says, answering Lily first. But the thought of starting college, doing all that paperwork and class enrollment, and having a Rory O'Gallaghan on everything felt a bit ugh. Back in February, when Lily first went missing, Rue was a secret name. Only a few people in the world knew it. Me, a couple of people Rue spoke to online. Now almost everybody knows him as Rue. His interest in the double life is limited, which is, I suppose, something that happens when you come closer to losing the one life you actually have. I was just getting the forms from City Hall, he says, turning to me. I'll have to go to Dublin to do it officially. Will you come with me? Of course, I say, pulling him into the hug. Road trip, this is a cause for celebration, Fi says, jumping up. McFlurries on me, I say, thinking of Mum's tenor, and we all troop back to the car, congratulating Rue. We focus on the future, we count our blessings, then we fall into quiet. I don't need to read minds to know that we are all thinking about Aaron at the City Hall. Why is he back in Kilbeg? I've been thinking, Fiona suddenly says, breaking the silence, that we have been given these gifts for a reason. I survived the housekeeper, Rue chirps, and all I got was this lousy t-shirt. No, she gazes out of the window, the children are coming back, aren't they? The Kilbeg, we can't ignore them anymore. Quiet again. No, Rue says. The whole time we are driving, I feel a dark bloom in my stomach and pressure behind my eyes, like if I turned my head towards the window, I would see the housekeeper standing on the overpath, like I might see Aaron standing in the road. I lean my head on Rue's shoulder and close my eyes, so I don't have to look at anything at all. Ooh, it's getting spooky again. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.